Well, good morning and welcome to another video. Um, I'm excited to be able to share this video with you. This is going to be a little different than the other videos that you've watched over the last couple of weeks. This is something that we're going to continue to do through the rest of the year, and what we call weekly instructional launches. Hopefully by the end of this video you understand what that means and what the expectations are for you. And again, this is just a chance for us to have you interact with the video, but also use the video to help interact with the unit that we're on. So again, this video is going to be entitled Scale Copies because that's the unit that we're on, or Scale Drawings. And hopefully at the end of this video you get a better understanding of scale copies and the direction that I want you to take it. The first thing I'd like you to do is kind of say what's new. Again, these are called weekly instructional lessons. If you're on the bottom there, it's embedded in the Summit Learning as a checkpoint. I know some of you may have asked, is it a Google Classroom or waiting for an email? This show is going to be a little different, and if you notice over the last couple of weeks, we have sort of been embedding them into the Summit Learning as a checkpoint. Again, this is for you. It's very practical. You can find it there. You have to go to many different places to find it. It's right there for you to use, and kind of, with the lessons the checkpoints that you already are working through, it's kind of right there. And again, we're going to title these weekly instructional lessons, and each week will be a different number. So this week would be week 5, weekly instructional lesson. So again, you're going to watch the video just like the other weeks. Hopefully you've already been doing that, but you'll watch this video and kind of get an understanding of a topic that I want to address during the week that could help you. And again, I can use it as a resource as well for you the week to keep watching it. The new thing we're going to do this year is work on the thing called a 6E lesson, and I've kind of linked that there for you just to show you a little bit. This is sort of what yours is going to look like for this week, and this is what you're going to start doing differently. Is that this we call it weekly instructional lesson. It's already built for you, and there's places where you can either be able to fill in. So again, these pictures will be on this video, and I'll tell you what to do there. If you want to fill something in, you can start to type, and then again, becomes your own document. You'll be forced to make a copy when you do this, just like anything else that we do. So there's an engage section to kind of get you into the lesson a little bit. And again, on the video and at different points in this video, I may address different sections for you to use. The Explore section is just some additional resources for use. There's additional video, a reader resource, and then do some practice problems as well. That's additional stuff on top of what I'm going to teach you in this lesson for you to kind of explore on your own and do. And there's an explain section where we talk about a discussion Padlet. There's a link there for you. I showed a picture, and again, if you've done Padlet before, it's just a type of discussion where we can kind of answer questions and we can see each other's responses. And then we have a section called Evaluate, which is, again, I'm just going to make that a checkpoint that you're going to complete. And again, I'll kind of share this at the end for you guys to make sure you understand what you're doing. And then a big part of this is the Elaborate. All right, this is where you're actually going to create your own scale copy today. And again, we'll kind of go through that. And then there's a self-assessment express at the end. So this is what you're going to do each week with these videos. Either you have a chance again up here to fill in the actual document, or be linked to a resource that you can do like Padlet or a Google slide, or I might have you work in your checkpoints just to kind of not make it too much extra work for you. So we go back to a slider. So again, what's new? That's what we're doing each week. I think it's gonna be kind of nice. Everything's kind of section there for you to kind of use, and again, it helps you kind of just interact with the video so that we know that you're watching it, because these are important for you. They're going to help you learn through each week. So the learning target for today, all right, is I can create a scale copy using my knowledge of the different components with size, shape, and line segment length. So hopefully by this point, you have kind of dived into the power focus areas and maybe some checkpoints to get an understanding of what a scale copy actually is. But at the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to create your own. And again, in that Elaborate section of that plan actually has you creating your own on a thing called Google Draw, and we'll kind of show you that at the end here. So I'm going to tell you, I can create a scale copy. So at this moment of the video, I would like you to pause the video if you can. Go back to that document that I shared. Again, where you found the video, if you go up to the title of the checkpoint, you'll be able to click it like any other checkpoint. And it'll take you to like a notebook section where you can start to fill things in. If you could pause and just write down a notice or a wonder or one of each, something where you see these two pictures. What's something that you notice? And then what's something that you wonder? Maybe there's a question like, something that you kind of want to answer and put down that hopefully is answered by the end of this lesson. So take a pause and write those two things down. So hopefully what you're seeing is that throughout this lesson, we have, the original thing on the right? That's the original Empire State Building. On the left, we have what we call a scale copy, a smaller version of something that's created on Minecraft. I found a picture of that. But we call it a scale copy. It's a representation of the original, but doesn't lose its, first of all, its orientation. It keeps that orientation. It doesn't matter what size, and the length segments have to be the same based on what we call a scale factor. So I kind of shared them with you already. So if you look to the right, we have 5 figures, right? We have an original, and then we have some figures that we need to determine, are they real scale copies? Well, again, the shape needs to stay the same. The size does not matter. So it can increase, it can decrease, it can do whatever it needs to do. And the last one is the most important one. Length of corresponding line segments need to increase by the same amount. We call that the scale factor. So each line segment of the figure has to increase by the same number on all sides. So we look at figure A, right? And we look down at figure 1, original figure, look down at figure 1. We see that the point at the top of the line's meet goes up, it changes, but the legs don't move. So again, it's almost like the shape is changing. And again, if the shape is changing, it's not keeping its original form, then we say that's not a scale copy. And figure 3 is another example of that. It's kind of slanting, one leg's not moving. So we would say that's not a scale copy. But if we look at figure 2 and 4, figure 2 seems to be doubling, right? The legs go out 1 and the top goes up 2, but it seems like it's being multiplied by 2, or it's doubling. So we can kind of say that is an example of a scale copy. And looking at figure 4, we could also say it's a scale copy because it's reducing, but it looks like it's keeping its shape. So again, what makes a scale copy? Its shape needs to stay the same. Size does not matter. And every line segment on the figure needs to increase by the same scale factor. An example of this will be from the scale factor side is what you see in these figures in front of you. So we look at to the left, the scale factor is able to increase by a whole number, or if you notice, they're a fraction, right? So if we look at 3 to 5, and it's kind of highlighted for you because it's showing you what corresponding line segments are. It's line segments that match up based on the figures. So from figure A to figure B, 3 is a corresponding line segment to line segment 5, right? So they kind of match up. So if you notice, how do I get from 3 to 5? Well, I can multiply by 5/3, right, to get to 5. The fraction is okay. The only problem is if I look at the bottom, right, 5 to 5, I'm only multiplying by 1. So again, that would not be a scale factor because the scale factor, this is not a true scale copy because every line or line segment needs to increase by the same amount. Looking at the figure A, if we look at some examples here from 2 to 6, we see it increasing by 3. And then we jump to 4 up to 12, and you can see the arrows there, it's increasing by 3. So we can say, oh, wow, that might be a scale copy. But again, if we look at the bottom and the slanted line, if we multiply by 3, 6 times 3 is 18. It does not match up with 14. Or 6.4 times 3 is not 15.2. So we would say this figure is not a scale copy because not every line segment is increasing by 3. So again, these two would be examples of non-scale copies. And so when we talk about this, what we also can say is I can find missing sides. So if I understand what a scale copy is, what I can do is that I can say, how did I get from 4 to 12 here, right? That can help me understand how can I get from 6 again to this variable, this missing side length. So if I look at 4 to 12, we can say, well, we can kind of say, okay, 4 times 3 gives me 12. Or if I go the opposite way, 12 divided by 3 gives me 4. So if that's the case, to find this missing side, I can say, okay, 6 needs to be multiplied by 3, which would give me 18. So again, if I'm given a, different sides, I find the scale factor, I can find the missing side to another line segment of the maybe the original scale copy or the scale copy itself, to be able to find what that length side is. So the reason I showed you this is because this is sort of what you're going to do in your next or in your elaborate section with your slides. Let me see if I can get this moving here. There we go. Okay. So what's up next for you is I kind of want to share, and I kind of shared it already, is that on that document that I shared with you, there's a couple things I'd like for you to do. So it says share your thoughts on the Padlet under Explain. I kind of showed you that. It's going to take you to a different site, and there's going to be a figure there for you to be able to comment. Then I'd like you to complete checkpoint scaling L under evaluate. Some of you, I think there's been some of you that have sort of already been working with that, which is awesome. But again, I would like for you to complete that checkpoint with a green as part of that evaluate section in this lesson plan. And then the next thing is create your own scale copy example with description under elaborate, and I'll show you what that is. And then the last thing is reflect on this week's lesson under express. It's always good to reflect to kind of see what you learned and maybe something that you had questions about that wasn't addressed that can be discussed with me or in the next lesson that we have. So if we go back, I'm going to kind of go back here for you and look at this lesson. We're going to see the elaborate section, and usually in every video I'll make sure I share this with you. So with this elaborate section, all right, you're going to create your own scale example using the template here. So it's just a Google slide template. It has a heading, and then you can kind of do whatever you want to with it. So it says use your knowledge of the scale copies in previous example regarding size, shape, and line segment length. You can draw or insert any shape and basically make it your own copy. If you get lost, you can rewatch this video for more examples, okay? So the good thing is you need to place your name at the top left and share it with me when you complete it so that I know that I have it. And there's a rubric there for you. So here's an example of what's this, something you could do with this scale assignment and what I'm looking for. So, doesn't really give my headings anyways. So here we go. These objects are scale copies because, and I give some examples, but this is something I want you to do. So you better draw your own figure, come up with your own lengths. And again, you can have all 4 sides with numbers. You don't have to have just 2. I just did that for time's sake. And then all I want is a description at the bottom. So you can insert a text box and make sure that you explain exactly what's going on with these figures under that under the scale, if it's a true scale copy and why. So again, it's kind of making you create and explain why your figures above are scale copies. So that'd be kind of the elaborate section that you'll be able to work on this week, which would be kind of cool. So remember, create some goals, continue to create goals each week so that when you get on that page, you know exactly what you're expected to do. Due date, again, is October 4th, all right? It's still a couple weeks away, but again, it's kind of creeping up, so make sure we have a just an understanding of when that's happening. Start some checkpoints this week. I mean, this lesson is requiring you to start the first checkpoint anyways, which is awesome, but continue to work through those checkpoints as we get to the end result. And take time and read my feedback. Don't just rush to try to get that problem done or to the next one. Look at the feedback that I give you and do exactly what it says because it's going to help you answer that problem. So don't just rush, but again, take the time to review what I'm feeding you through those examples. So hopefully you learned something this week. And again, this is sort of what we're going to be doing each week with our weekly lesson plans. And I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure that you open that document as you watch this video and be able to fill things out. And if you have any questions, you always can get at me and we'll figure it out. But I hope you enjoy it and have a great week.